Now, as you know, energy prices in Nigeria have been on a roller coaster ride since the removal of fuel subsidies, and the record price of diesel in particular has become the latest nail in the coffin of Nigerian businesses and is fast becoming the death of many such concerns. The price of diesel has now been pushed to over 1,100 naira per litre, and it's going to get worse because of the deepening foreign exchange crisis and the electricity pinch, not to mention the harsh economic conditions, even as the purchasing power of most people continues to dwindle. There have been calls for urgent action, including the removal of VAT on diesel and petrol, without which there could be job losses and revenue declines that could have a debilitating impact on an already fragile economy. Well, for more on the impact on businesses of rising energy costs, I'm joined now from our studios in Lagos by the owner of a rice mill that's at risk of going under from the rising cost of diesel, Paul Alaje, who's also a well-known number-crunching senior economist and partner at SPM Professionals. Paul, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I noticed earlier they were fiddling with your earpiece, but I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, I can hear you so very much. Thank you so very much for having me.
Brilliant. Just from your perspective as the owner of a manufacturing business, you run a rice mill. Tell us how this dramatic rise in diesel prices is affecting you.
Well, to a large extent, energy is everything. The price of diesel increased between 2001 December from 290 naira per litre now to over 1,000 naira. The percentage increase is incomprehensible, is unthinkable. The kind of increase we have seen between that year, 2021 December, till now. And there are a number of reasons, and all of these reasons have implications. The first reason would be that we had global economic quagmire and the fallout of COVID-19. Later on, we saw the occupation of Ukraine by Russia. We have also seen the attention that is no longer paid to the Black Sea grain deal that a country seems to be reneging on such agreement that was between Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, and of course the United Nations. Back at home, those are external factors. Those are externalities, negative externalities if you like. But looking at how we have contributed to this, in fact, a lot of newspapers today are published that the current economic policies or decisions that we have taken in Nigeria since May, they are so far too fast. And I don't know if you have seen the report. The implication is that Nigeria did not know that our economy is largely based on external force. That is, the energy of this country, over 90% of our energy, finished usable energy, are imported. By implication, I'm referring to PMS, I'm referring to Jet A1, and for factory, and as a factory owner, I'm referring to diesel. All of these are imported. The moment we adjusted FX in the name of flotation and unification, the price jumped from 650. In fact, a number of persons had said, oh, because of that policy, we've seen the price of diesel continue to reduce. So we saw the price move sporadically from 650 to 700, 700 to 900 to over 1,000. It's running the same race with the dollar. We don't know when they will get to the finishing line, but what they know that they are both gaining momentum together. The implication will be manufacturers are concerned about the cost of input, because this definitely will have impact on output. It will affect how much people will buy rice. Recall that in the last 1 month, before now, 1 month ago, there has been general scarcity around grains in the country. And you saw the price of rice jump from 33 naira to a bag, I'm referring to 50 kg, to 43 naira. Today, the price has even since increased. And you can take a survey. Here in Lagos, you can do the same in Abuja, you can do the same in Edo, you can do the same in Sokoto and in Kano. the price of rice continue to increase. Why? Because the input factor, majorly paddy and diesel, they continue to increase the same way. As if those were not enough, we have also heard that the DISCO has announced increase in costs, that is what people will pay for using the energy. By all means, Nigerian manufacturing sector is battered on all fronts. Energy, energy, energy. The reason why I can talk to you from Lagos and you can speak back from Abuja, and a lot of viewers, millions of them across the globe, are watching this program and they can pay attention, is because they have energy in them. When a nation is void of energy, then what you see is low productivity, low growth, which will result in poverty, hunger, and deprivation.
Right. Okay, well, Paul, you've laid out the case very strongly there and very articulately, as you usually do. What I'm getting from what you're saying is that this new record price of diesel is the latest nail in the coffin of Nigerian businesses. Would you describe the high cost of energy as the foremost challenge facing businesses in Nigeria? Because obviously there's already, as you pointed out, no electricity, so you have to provide your own energy using diesel generators.
In fact, it's not just for businesses in Nigeria, it's also for businesses that are supposed to come to Nigeria. There is no production for an economy that does not have energy. It's as simple as that. And I ask many of our friends, whether among the governed or those in government, which country would they love to go to that has 0 or 3,000 megawatt energy output for the entire population? And you can divide that into two: those who are direct consumer and, more importantly, manufacturers. Recall that Nigeria has put up a lot of intention. We heard that Nigeria is able to generate up to 10,000 megawatt. But does that matter? What matters to economy is what is consumable. If we have them at the generating point and we're unable to transmit them, or we're unable to use them in form of distribution, then they have particularly no importance to us. In 2020 to 2022, the transmission line collapsed up to 10 times and more. In recent time, this year, transmission line has collapsed more than 3 times. Some of the time, Nigeria as a nation is thrown into outer darkness. That is worrisome. And that's had implication on unemployment. When you check people who don't have work up to 20 hours a week, then you'll be talking of over 30% of the labor force. Over 30% of the labor force. When you take labor force out of the entire population, then you have over 125-30 million people that are not qualified or able to work. But when you stay with labor force and you have 30% or 1/3 of that population not able to get job up to 20 hours a week, I'm referring to average of 4 hours a day, then you know we have a lot to deal with. So why will people not come? Because the implication of energy is important, we underscore it. And I must say, it's not the only thing that we need to do. And I must also lay emphasis on why energy is important and why some investors seems not to be coming to Nigeria as much as we have expected. And for those who felt if you just flow currency, you remove subsidy, very soon we're going to start seeing that angel of economic miracle appear to us in the nation. But I have a lot of worries, and some of those worries, I'm afraid, are beginning to play out. And that is why we put a second opinion in the public space. Because why do we have to devalue in the first instance? And why are we not having a sufficient output in the second instance? I'll take the issues one after the other. When you look at what we are generating today is not sufficient, let alone what is getting to homes. 2, you cannot be a nation with largest population in a continent and your production, manufacturing is not your focus. I take an instance. When you look at India, currently the largest economy in the entire universe, and of course in Asia, with a country that is competing with India in terms of population, I'm referring to China. We all know China as a production hub. Go to Western Europe, where you have Germany leading the population. What is Germany known for? Is it just for people to farm and to throw seeds down, as we commonly say in Nigeria, and hope that the seeds will grow and it will come into commercial quantity? The answer is no. Okay, leave that. Go to Brazil, the largest nation in Southern America. It is the same. Even America, as we know it today, is technology and manufacturing. When you come to Africa, Nigeria has over 20 million people. Our manufacturing contribution to GDP, when you compare with the rest of populations that I mentioned, is perhaps the lowest. And when you now see, even in that manufacturing or production, whatever you call it, what is our contribution to knowledge and what is the presence of energy in the conversation we are having? That is why, even though we are giant of Africa at 63, our economy still have a lot. We still have a lot to worry about regarding our economy. So it's a lot of worries, it's a lot of concern regarding energy, and I'm hoping that we'll start to make amends in no time.
Paul, you've made a lot of points there, and I have to say, most of them, indeed all of them, are salutary. I'm wondering whether you, as both an economist and a manufacturer, whether you and other stakeholders are engaging with the government at all. I mean, maybe through your national association and so on. Or is this a case, once again, of the people versus the government, and the government is saying there's not much we can do?
The truth is that over the years, the association that is known for manufacturing, that is Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, and I'm not saying this as a manufacturer, I'm saying this as an economist. The association have continued to engage with the government and to mention to government what is workable and what is visible. Under different leadership, at least in the last 10 years, the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria has been really very visible to give the government usable, useful, and very important information and ideas that could be implemented, especially for members and non-members. But whether the government has been able to make use of all of this is a different ballgame entirely. But I must say this, before you look at just manufacturing, there are things that would affect manufacturing without being a manufacturer directly. You see, the decision that is taken by the Monetary Policy Committee as to what MPR will be by MPC, it has a lot of implication, because if you increase rates, then manufacturers will have to borrow even at higher cost. And when the cost is too high, then it will eventually have implication on employment. That said, if you also have an economy where government is not putting enough infrastructure in place, then it will also have implication on manufacturing. So when we make economic decision that we think that, oh, it's just to make some decision, or you adjust the exchange rate without building foundation with which the currency will compete, then I'm afraid it will be like we're asking a man with both legs to compete in an 100-meter race with a man that has only one leg. So the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, from what I have seen, what I've observed, and what I've read as an economist, I've continued to engage government at a formal level, both the states and most importantly, the federal government.
We've got a couple of minutes left, and I wanted you to keep that your economist hat on, because what I want to ask you is, as an economist, and clearly also as a manufacturer, but as an economist, in the immediate term, what's the solution? There have been calls for the government to remove VAT on diesel, for instance. How much difference would that make in terms of reducing your production costs?
Okay, so solutions are both in the immediate term, in the medium term, and in the long term. and I don't know, you said I have very few minutes, so I'll just speak to them. It's important for VAT or any form of taxation that is making life relatively difficult for people to be removed. The government can make money from other means. And I've said time and again that there are over 20 trillion naira revenue apart from formal taxation that government is losing. I only hope government will see where these monies are and collect them without increasing taxes, which of course can put the economy in a further mess. Secondly, what should we do in the medium term? Government need to support private sector, especially manufacturers and those in agro-allied, such that we can protect the future of the country. Because if we don't, we will continue to get report from food inflation that is near 30%, year on year. And that has a major implication of 25.8% inflation that was last reported by the Bureau of Statistics. In the long term, or maybe not so longer term, what should we be looking at is to take our destiny into our hands. You cannot give the destiny of your nation into another economy, hoping that they love the country more than you do. Here is the issue. The real challenges we have, we come from the solution. The real challenge we have today is the challenge of confidence and stability. While we have a new team in Central Bank, which I believe they will deal with the issue of stability, the government as a whole, especially fiscal, trade, and monetary, must do something about the confidence issue. Because today, that seems to be the issue. So what should we do? Instead of us as just supporting small businesses and so on and so forth, we must tie to those that are producing exportable goods, because it will eventually help to reduce the pressure that we have on our foreign reserve. Two, refineries must work, because if it does not, then eventually we may all be doomed. Anybody telling us otherwise don't mean well for our nation.
Right.
Anybody say it does not matter really don't love this nation as much as they are saying they do. So it's important we get it correctly. Number three, and the final one is we must go from just it's okay.
Yeah, I apologize, Paul. I mean, you've made some very, very good points there, and I hope the right people are listening in to you. Paul Alaje is the owner of a rice mill that's at risk of going under from the rising cost of diesel. He's also a well-known senior economist and partner at SPM Professionals. He was talking to me there from our studios in Lagos. Thanks very much indeed, Paul.